was a union maid who never was afraid of goons and ginks and company beats and the deputy sheriffs who made the raid. She went to the union hall when a meeting it was called, and when the company boys came round, she always stood her ground. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die. This union maid was wise to the tricks of company spies. She couldn't be fooled by a company stool. She'd always organize. She always got her way. When she struck for higher pay, she'd show her card to the company guard, and this is what she'd say. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die. Little tip from me, break out of that mold we've all been sold. You got a fighting history, the fight for women's rights. With workers must unite, like Mother Jones, move those bones to the front of every fight. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die.
Woo! Woo-hoo! With thunderous clapping and great joy. And move more deeply into our worship time with these words by Megan Weiser. We enter this sanctuary for kindness and comfort. May rough, worn hands and aching backs be healed. We enter this sanctuary of hope for equality. May those who labor to survive live to know justice. We enter this sanctuary of love and vocation. May our bonds of solidarity be strengthened. We enter this sanctuary of courage and friendship. May we proceed hand in hand towards freedom. Buenos días y bienvenidos. I am the Reverend Katie Romano Griffin. My pronouns are she, ella.
Namaste, good morning. I'm the Reverend Abhi Janamanchi. My pronouns are he, him. We welcome you to Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church on this Labor Day weekend as we gather once again as a beloved community in person and online. If you're new with us this morning and you're in this sanctuary and feel comfortable identifying yourself, please raise your hand. All right, we're all friends here. All right. And if you're new online, feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. And if you feel comfortable, fill out the newcomer form that's being linked in the chat. Whether you're joining us today for the first time, or you've been with us for a lifetime, whether you're joining us in person or online, you are welcome here.
Whoever you are and whomever you love, whatever your beliefs, gender identity and expression, immigration status, or disability, you are welcome here.
Thank you for taking a chance and taking a risk to join us for worship today. If you've been attending for a while and are interested in joining this beloved religious community, please reach out to my colleague, Reverend Katie.
Our pastoral visitors are an extension of the ministry team. They are available in the chat today to support you and also in the sanctuary. But first, we have a few announcements.
Which is, as you well know, is part of our ritual of gathering. So, we just wanted to share a few things about in-gathering and the fall, and also what this multi-platform worship means. So we've been working really hard over the summer to find ways to offer multi-platform worship, which is both in-person and online Sunday services, so that even when we are back together in person this fall on Sundays, those who are far away or otherwise not ready to gather in person will continue to have ways to connect online, as well as we create space, safe space here for those who are able to gather in person can do so. Now, there are lots of things that have changed in the sanctuary since you were last here. For example, we have these fancy cameras that those of you online really can't see right now, but they're here. And we have musical chairs. In the sense, we had a different configuration last week, physically distanced in a way that people could sit and worship safely, and also opportunities for couples and families to be able to sit together. So we're going to be testing these out. There are also lots of wires on the floor, and we have these two large screen TVs that are staring at you. Things have shifted. They are changing. This is part of the new reality that we are learning to somehow both come to terms with and be with, and work through some of the discomfort, some of the grief that we are experiencing in this time. But our hope is these changes and all would enhance both our in-person and our online worship experience.
We've paid attention to physical distancing. We've installed air filtration devices and will use the largest spaces in the church for overflow if necessary. We urge everyone who can be vaccinated to attend in person, and just want to let you know that everyone must remain masked while in the building.
And now a few things about In-Gathering Sunday, which is going to be next Sunday, which is also the day we do our annual water ceremony, which we are planning to do, just to let you know. But this will be different in that we're going to begin with the water ceremony. So you will be bringing your water from your home or your backyard or from your summer travels, and pour the water as you are entering the sanctuary, starting at 10:40. And then we will commence with the service, and there will be a ritual of blessing the water during the service. Now, if you have water images, you may please email them to Barb Thompson, who will be receiving them. The email is included in your e-news, and also it's being posted in the chat. And we also need hospitality volunteers. You know, this used to be formerly our ushers and welcoming team. Now we need more people to welcome and situate people as they arrive. So if you are interested in being part of our hospitality team, please do let us know. We would love to have you.
We'd also like to share that today is the last day for Nicole Kazi, our membership and communications coordinator. Nicole is in the sanctuary, and we just want to say a few words. We appreciate you, Nicole.
And
Nicole came into this community and this environment entirely online, only to this day having met a handful of us on staff directly in person. But she's an incredible teammate and has deep commitment to the Cedar Lane community. She immediately rolled up her sleeves and said whatever needs to get done to have church happen, and she showed up to do it time and time again. We are very excited for Nicole as she pursues an opportunity at NIH, and Nicole has promised to come back and visit us someday soon when we're no longer needing to wear masks so she can smile at everyone and say hello in person. Thank you, Nicole, for your service and the gift of your presence.
And many blessings on the next chapter of your vocational journey, Nicole.
Amen.
And last but not least, we welcome back to Cedar Lane Elise Bryant and the DC Labor Chorus, who are joining us once again as part of our Cedar Lane tradition on this special Labor Day service. Welcome, Sister Elise.
Woo-hoo! As we enter this time of reflection and remembrance, connection and community, we acknowledge that we gather as Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church on the traditional land of the Nacotchtank people from which the name Anacostia was derived. They were a part of the Piscataway, which was a group of tribes. We honor that the indigenous people of this land were here before us, are here with us now, and will continue to be with us as we look forward to the future. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have protected it throughout the generations.
We remember those who were enslaved and worked this land without choice or reward. We remember all who have gone before us, whose vision and labor helped create and sustain this, our beloved religious community. In this spirit, we gather. In this spirit, we begin. Let us now greet and welcome each other in person and in the chat.
Good morning. I'm Jared Wilson. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm the worship associate for today's service. I'm lighting my chalice in Silver Spring, Maryland. As I read our chalice lighting words, I invite you to share in the chat where you are lighting your chalice from. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people, united in love and thirsting for restorative justice. May it melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it spark in us the spirit of humility. May it ignite in us radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly toward our highest ideals.
This morning, we acknowledge the role of the worship associates in our congregation, trained lay leaders who collaborate closely with the ministers and our musicians to develop, support, and lead Sunday worship.
Our worship associates make an important commitment to the congregation when they take on this task. They are, in a very real sense, representatives of our congregation and our faith as they learn more about worship and lend their particular gifts and sensibilities to worship. We attest to the enormous value they bring not only to worship but to our lives as well.
Today, we dedicate and commission new worship associates who have agreed to serve: Kimberly Clarkson, Raj Rajendran, Alex Del Sol, and Ezra Town.
And we recognize and thank worship associates who are continuing: Leslie Volson, Jared Wilson, Stephanie Williams, Fran Flieger, Jessica Sawyer, and Babs Ricketts.
Friends, on this day, we commission you as the Cedar Lane Worship Associate Team. We honor the important ministry you share with us and ask if you are ready to fulfill your responsibilities of being worship associates for the upcoming year. Do you commit to engage in this ministry with joy, openness, and integrity, upholding the values and principles of our Unitarian Universalist faith in celebration and in service of life, and basically sign away your life for the next year in service of Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church? If so, please say, "We will."
We will.
All right.
In joy and an affirmation of your call to serve, we recognize and commission you with joy and gratitude to offer your gifts of creativity and authenticity, to model commitment to our vision and mission, and join the worship associate ministry team in the shared ministry of worship. May it be so.
May it be so. Thank you. You may be seated.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. divide us old and young, but they'll tremble at our voices when they hear these verses sung. For the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. In Spanish. Solidaridad para siempre. Solidaridad para siempre. Solidaridad para siempre. Que viva nuestra unión. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong.
Thank you so much to the DC Labor Chorus and Elise for your leadership in the DC Labor Chorus. That song brings back memories for me from my childhood. When on weekends, when my dad had us, we would go, he was a labor organizer and still is, and he would take us to strikes, to organizing meetings, to all kinds of different labor organizing events, and that song was a quintessential piece of my childhood. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And he's watching today, and yesterday was his birthday, so happy birthday, Dad. So I wonder what could be in the Wonder Box today that might help us think about Labor Day. Let's open it up and find out. What is this? What is in here? Oh my goodness. There's grapes in here. Grapes? What? Grapes? What do grapes have to do with Labor Day, I wonder? Well, I'm going to tell you a story, very much like the bedtime stories my dad used to tell me when I was a little girl. And this is a story about a woman named Dolores Huerta. And she was first a mother. She had 11 children. And Dolores was also a teacher. She taught children in California, and she noticed that the children she taught often didn't have shoes on their feet. They were sick. They didn't have medicine, the medicine that they needed, and often they didn't have anything for lunch, and they came to school hungry. Well, Dolores wanted to find out what was making this happen. Why were her children that she was teaching coming to school in a way that wasn't easy for them to learn? So she went to their parents' house, and she found out that most of the parents of her children were farm workers, and what they did was pick grapes. And they had to work really hard. They worked all morning, and they worked all afternoon and all evening to pick grapes so that we could have grapes in our grocery stores. But they were not getting paid very much money at all. And they also didn't have clean water to drink while they were working so hard, and they didn't get breaks either. And so once Dolores heard about all these problems, she became an organizer. She became a labor organizer. And she organized the workers so that they could strike. So they stopped working, and they said, we're not going to work until we get clean water to drink and until we have breaks and until we get paid enough money so that our children can have medicine and clothes and food and shoes on their feet. So Dolores organized the workers to strike, but she also had to do something else. She also had to be a storyteller. She had to tell the story to the people in the news and the shoppers who were buying the grapes. So she told the story of the workers to the shoppers who were buying the grapes. And she told them how the bosses were not giving the workers enough money to feed their children or give their children medicine, and they weren't getting breaks, and they didn't have water to drink. And she told this story to whoever would listen. And when she told this story, the people who buy the grapes said, you know what? While the workers are striking and they're not working, we're also not going to buy any grapes until these bosses treat their workers more fairly. And so that's what they did. The workers had a strike, and they held up signs, and they didn't go to work, and they said, "Si se puede, we can do it." And they said, "Fair wages for fair work." And while they were doing that, people like us, the consumers of the grapes, said, "We are not going to buy your grapes, bosses. We are going to not buy grapes until you treat your workers fairly." And guess what happened? It took a long time, and it took a really dedicated effort from the workers, from Dolores telling the stories over and over, and from people like you and me and you who are out there, to be dedicated enough and strong enough to say, what's most important here is that people are treated fairly. And the people who pick the grapes, the people who pick the tomatoes, they deserve to get a fair wage. They deserve to have enough money to feed and clothe their children and give them medicine. And they deserve breaks when they're working. And so after a very long time and a very long boycott, that's what it's called when you don't buy food, the workers said, "Okay, fine. We will treat our workers more fairly." And they did. And so the workers went back to work, and they had better pay and better treatment. But the work is not over. There is still much more work to do. There are still many more bosses who need to listen to the workers and listen to what us as consumers are saying about how they treat people. And I'm sure that Reverend Katie is going to talk more about that. But I wonder what you can do today to be an organizer, a storyteller, a teacher, a parent. I wonder today how you can celebrate Labor Day in a way that honors Dolores Huerta.
About Dolores Huerta. And as you ponder what it is that you can do to be engaged more intentionally, both in your work and in supporting the dignity of labor, I want to lift up an organization that is doing that work, following in the footsteps of Dolores Huerta and more, in organizing migrant farm workers who are toiling away in our fields, picking grapes, oranges, strawberries, tomatoes, and other crops. Each Sunday, we take up an offering to support the mission and ministry of Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church, and we share our offering to support a community organization that is in alignment with our mission and our commitment to social justice. This offering is an invitation to demonstrate willingly a commitment that we make together to the common principles and convictions of our Unitarian Universalist faith and support the work of justice in the larger world. Our Share the Plate offering reminds us that the congregation belongs to us, each of us and all of us, and that our ministry is more than just what we do here in this building. It is an extension of our gratitude for our spiritual home, where we are welcomed as we are, as who we are, and to be of service in the larger world. So today, as I said, we will be sharing our offering with the Coalition of Immokalee Workers, CIW. CIW is a Florida migrant worker-based organization recognized internationally for its human rights work. Built on a foundation of farm worker community organizing, the CIW runs food justice campaigns and has combated forced labor and exploitation of workers. Through the use of direct actions, such as mass protests, 30-day hunger strikes, 230-mile marches, boycotts, etc., the CIW has won industry-wide wage increases and worker protections. The CIW is perhaps best known for the penny more per pound movement, which called to an increase of 45 cents per 32-pound bucket of tomatoes to 77 cents. A mere pittance for corporate tomato buyers like McDonald's or Chipotle or Wendy's or Taco Bell or Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, yet one that nonetheless translates to a more viable $80 for an average 10 to 12-hour work day instead of the previous average of $45. When I was serving the Unitarian Universalists of Clearwater congregation in Florida, we were engaged on a regular basis in these protests. Now, over the years, through the campaign for food and the emergence of the Fair Food Program, CIW has transformed from one of the poorest and most powerless communities in the country into a model of strong, committed leadership grounded in young migrant workers forging a future of livable wages, as well as a hub for individuals from around the world engaged in the fight against human trafficking. So friends, it is an honor to be able to support CIW today with our Share the Plate offering. You can give by electronic means, text, online giving, PayPal, or QR code, or by the ancient spiritual practice of writing a check and mailing it to the church at Cedar Lane. Whichever way you give, however you give, thank you for your generosity and support. I would now like to welcome my sister Elise Bryant to share her musical gifts as we give and gratefully receive the offering.
Greetings, sisters, brothers, siblings, comrades, family. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. You can sing with me. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. No matter where you go, no matter where you've been, you'll never walk alone. I feel you deep within. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. No matter what you feel or what you choose to show, I'm always there for you, and I want you to know I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. I walk the path with you. Go slow, dear one, don't hurry. I'll go just like you need to go. There is no need to worry. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love. Last time. I am sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I am sending you light to hold you in love.
Thank you. Invite you just to hold that space for a moment, that space of light and love, knowing that each time we gather for worship, we set aside time to expand the caring ministry of this congregation. Together, we recognize the cycles of life and death, the circle of love and compassion and witness that is at the heart of this religious community. Our hearts are with those whose primary spiritual practice is parenting in a pandemic. We hold in our circle of caring those who live with grief and chronic pain, those with illnesses seen and unseen, with mental illness and addictions, those who are caring for a family member in ill health, and those who are experiencing job loss and financial insecurity. Within our Cedar Lane community, we hold in our hearts Ed Delahaye and Joanne Jersey as they mark the 1-year anniversary of the loss of Lois Delahaye. We celebrate with Anne Adderley, who is celebrating her 97th birthday, and with Florence Gutenberg, who is celebrating her 95th birthday. And our caring extends beyond Cedar Lane to those whose lives are lost and whose lives are impacted by the violence and calamities of our world. We continue to hold in our hearts those who have died and who have been impacted by COVID-19. We hold in our hearts the parents and caregivers who are sending their young and unvaccinated children back to school and daycare, and those who sent them back to school in the last few weeks. We hold in our hearts the people of Texas, and especially those with a uterus, who had their bodily autonomy attacked this week by their state legislature. We hold in our hearts those who are impacted by climate change and natural disasters, this week including those who are still recovering from Hurricane Ida, those facing wildfires in Lake Tahoe, and those facing flooding along the East Coast. May these friends of ours, our companions in this world, and all the lives, all that lives unspoken on our hearts, be held in the embrace of prayer by a love that will not let us go. You may have a joy or sorrow that you would like lifted up during the service, and if you do, I invite you to send it to pastoralcare@cedarlane.org. And now I invite you into a moment of prayer and meditation. Spirit of light and love, be with us as we breathe. Be with us as we feel the connections with those who are joining us in person in this sanctuary and those who are joining us online. be with us as we breathe together. We know that you, Great Spirit beyond all knowing, are the connective tissue that runs within us, around us, and through us. As we move through this Labor Day weekend, let us remember that both work and rest are sacred parts of our daily ritual. Let us celebrate the desire to work and be productive in both our youngest and our oldest souls. Let us honor the need to rest and regroup and relax as both individuals and as a collective. Let us consider who labored to bring us the comforts we enjoy this weekend and open our hearts in unending gratitude for their work. Spirit of all that is holy, sacred, and divine, as we enter the silence, hear our unspoken prayers for the safety and well-being of all who labor today and every day. During the silence, those grieving a loss or commemorating the anniversary of a loss are invited to rise and or share their names in the chat, in mourning and in memory. Let us enter the silence together.
Love is the unstoppable force. Join us, we're about to begin. History's on our side, we'll do it again. There's nothing on this earth that can stop us. Love is such a powerful thing. We will conquer hate, and we will sing.
Miranda, Wayward your Highlander, they say that is one powerful song. They say the whole world will sing it long after we're gone.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. An injury to one is an injury to all. If you call me, I will come. I will catch you if you fall. Because alone we are weak. Together we stand tall. An injury to one is an injury to all. We are the voices of rebellion, the writing on the wall. We sing the songs of freedom, the witness to the fall. We bring you the love song. We bring you the love song. Liberation songs, the songs that heal and remind
Thank you. Thank you to the DC Labor Chorus, Elise Bryant and Steve Jones, who I believe co-authored that opera, Love Song to Liberation. When I was growing up, Labor Day meant a Sunday barbecue at my Aunt Marianne and Uncle Jim's house in Port Jeff Station, New York, and you Long Islanders out there know what I'm talking about. Everyone would bring some sort of side dish and some meat for the grill. It meant a long holiday weekend, either right after school started or right before school was about to start, that last long holiday. It meant rolling down grassy hills, eating sweet grapes from snack bowls and watermelon, and having contests with my cousins about how far we could each spit the watermelon seeds. And we could play in the pool until our lips turned blue, because that was the last time we were going to be in the pool before winter started. It meant resisting the urge to fall asleep to movies as the adults in the family continued to chat at the kitchen table until late into the evening. And it meant knowing we could stay up as much as we wanted because we had the day off tomorrow. In all of those years and all of those conversations around the table, no one talked about the meaning of Labor Day, even though everyone around that table worked multiple jobs, and at least one of those jobs was a union job. I never knew how Labor Day came about, how we came to celebrate it, why we celebrate it, and who we are celebrating on Labor Day. History.com published a fantastic article about Labor Day, and according to the piece, in the late 1800s, during the rise of the Industrial Revolution, people were working 12 hours a day in deplorable conditions, and some of those people were children at very young ages. These kinds of conditions gave rise to the very first workers' movements and uprisings. 139 years ago today, that's September 5th, 1882, 10,000 workers took unpaid time off to march from City Hall to Union Square in New York City, holding the very first Labor Day parade in U.S. history. It would take another decade of vocal uprisings and workers' movements before, in 1894, Grover Cleveland would declare a day set aside to celebrate Labor Day and laborers. While we recognize those whose labor is celebrated this weekend, we must also recognize that the work of creating fair labor conditions continues. And though the way we labor and the types of worker abuses are changing, we must be attendant to the work of our present and the work of our future. As we slice our tomatoes for our veggie burgers, pop lettuce on those toasted buns, put grapes in our snack bowls, and roll down the grassy hills that may have been mowed by a landscaping company that may not be paying fair wages. I invite us in our time together as people of faith to be present today and always to all who labor and how labor is changing for both the better and the worse in today's world. Moving from 1894, we fast forward to the 1970s and these words by Susan Yunza. I grew so tired of phones ringing for 8 hours straight. I wanted to pull my hair out, one thin strand at a time. A newly invented circle of hell had been invented, and if you'd been there, you might just understand why that infamous hippie girl rose up out of her chair, yanked the earphones off, and climbed onto a counter running the length of the room beneath our long black switchboard, then crawling from station to station, pulled each cord from its black tunnel, breaking one connection after another like a series of coitus interruptus all the way down the board before they stopped her and led her away. That was 1970, back when Oakland overseas was still manual, but the hatred of a ringing phone is with me yet. I will stand at the center of a room and watch the damn thing wring its little head off and grin, quite stupidly, at its helplessness. I will walk out the door, fill my lungs with ice, and head for far off peaks. Now, today, we don't quite have telephonists in that same sense, but maybe this same story could be similar of one of a customer service rep. In today's world, someone working long hours for little pay, possibly for a major conglomerate, facing challenges from management above with punishing quotas and demands for 100% five-star ratings for solving issues that are mostly 100% out of their control. As challenging as it is, this role is also disappearing in an age of automation, affecting those who require jobs with a certain level of flexibility at a certain dollar amount in order to survive, to keep up with those horrible quotas or face replacement, not just from other humans, but automation. One of the leaders in job displacement through automation is the Leviathan of Amazon. A paper on social and solidarity economy cites the work of Uden, Cushing, Horton, and Chilton, who stated that Amazon is the most prominent provider of such services through an application called Mechanical Turk, where some 500,000 workers from 190 countries have registered since 2005. And while the Mechanical Turk and similar services represent job opportunities for some people, particularly in developing countries, these micro jobs have been criticized as they typically pay below average hourly wages and raise issues related to worker conditions. Adding fire to these already large flames are the deplorable practices that Amazon employs. Amazon remains in the news with its worker intimidation and union-busting practices, furthering the damaging impacts of its push for production over people, automation, and unfair wages over skilled labor and fair pay roles. And Amazon isn't alone in how it mistreats workers. And these challenges that we're seeing develop are forcing new ways of worker organization and empowerment to rise up and fill the gaps of old systems that no longer function as they once did. Carlo Borsaga, Gianluca Salvatore, and Riccardo Bondi, the authors of a 2017 report on social and solidarity economy, the future of work, point the way to some potential pathways forward by stating the main issue related to the profound shift in the nature of work is how to react to automation by emphasizing all human skills that cannot be replaced in the short, medium term by artificial intelligence systems, but at the same time, increasing jobs with a higher level of competence and with a greater stability and protection. This translates into new ways of organizing work and workers beyond the structure of traditional enterprises in order to increase their market power. It also points the way to new opportunities for development in the field of personal and social services in a broad and evolutionary sense, including, for instance, the care economy and the silver economy, a sector in which today's challenge is to combine the broad relevance of jobs related to social issues with a better income distribution, and which is of particular interest when considering the role of social solidarity economic organizations. So really what they're saying is, absolutely, we are all still bound up with each other, as Dr. King says. Our liberation is bound together. I cannot be who I am meant to be unless you are who you are meant to be. But the call here with a social solidarity economy is to really live into that work consistently every single day. This also points the way to working with that understanding that there is a growing service economy which requires skilled labor, and we can direct supports to that service and care economy that provides more lovable and livable incomes and stronger social structures. Our changing times are also revealing new ways in which many entrepreneurs are leveraging technology that are open to pathways of success and a different type of exploitation that does not yet have a set of protections. And this is the role of a social media influencer, which is a real job that people have to make money. And among social media influencers, which are people who are leveraging Instagram, YouTube, and a variety of medias, sharing their stories and information in a way that helps them get ad revenue and other revenues in order to make a successful living. Among this group of social influencers is a particularly vulnerable group of teen influencers. These young social media moguls are building empires one video at a time. Earlier this week, artist and musician Pink called out this industry when she publicly tweeted that 14-year-old teen influencer Piper Raquel, who'd been featured in a bathing suit in a post, was being exploited by her parents. Yahoo News reported that Piper has over 8 million subscribers on YouTube, where she's known for acting in prank and challenge videos. A few of her thumbnails, which are tiny little images, the influencer's parents are doing the filming of their child, potentially uploading the videos, possibly even designing the content. And this is not an isolated incident. So there's real questions about the autonomy of these teens and their safety. And as people of faith, what is our role in protecting and empowering minors that are connected to this emerging market, which is potentially something that could create financial freedom for them and also dangerous and exploitive in many instances. The pandemic has also brought about some interesting trends in labor that it's important to talk about, and changes for the workplace that we're still starting to understand. During the pandemic, and even now, essential workers like our grocery store clerks, delivery drivers, restaurant and hospitality workers, factory workers, and many other essential workers have continued to work under conditions where they are forced to come to work even when they are sick in order to meet the demands of the public at large and of whatever quotas are being placed on them by the companies that they work for. Now, some companies like Amazon gave some of their workers a temporary raise. And for Amazon employees, that raise ended in May, signaling a return to a pay scale that is insufficient to make a living on. At the same time as essential workers were keeping things going and functioning with little pay, they didn't have sick days in many cases or other financial supports in place. Children were coming home to be homeschooled, which presented additional issues. And then 71% of the workforce that was capable of working from home began telecommuting. Now, according to Pew Research, 20% of that 71% was already telecommuting. Most of these jobs are for middle and upper class people that were able to telecommute. So we see that gap in practices and labor beginning to widen. And for people who are middle and upper class working from home, there were also challenges presented trying to be full-time school teachers while also working, but the impacts are varied. We've witnessed, even in our community, some people selling their homes, moving out of the county, moving to a different state, moving to be closer to family, taking advantage of their ability to work remotely, to have a different quality of life. Multiple generation homes are on the rise again, as we find we need assistance in doing the work of raising children and caring for each other in these times. Some parents are electing not to re-enter the workforce if they were pushed out of the workforce during this time, and the impacts of these many changes in formation are yet to be fully realized. What we do know is that the shape of labor in this country is changing, and it's also changing in the world as the result of the pandemic. Our work as people of faith is to be mindful of those changes and to mind the gap between the classes, remembering that our liberation is bound up with that of all of our beloved siblings on this planet. And the work of labor liberation in the face of these many challenges and technological advances, it does seem less clear, but it is critically important at this juncture in history. I mentioned earlier social solidarity, economic structures, and from the study I referenced, there's a concept that refers to enterprises and organizations, in particular cooperatives, mutual benefit societies, associations, foundations, and social enterprises, which specifically produce goods, services, and knowledge while pursuing economic and social aims and fostering solidarity. So that is a quote from that study that can help point our way forward in terms of being in solidarity, looking deeply at these structures. And when I think about the labor market in terms of fractals and how the free market that has been repeating itself in those fractal patterns has encouraged abuses and low wages in favor of higher profits, I know that we can't get to the center of that fractal and make changes, but we can work on the fringes with social solidarity, economic practices to create new, more just patterns, beginning at the fringes of those fractals and repeating over and over again with renewed vigor as a new or continuing movement towards justice for all. As people of faith, we must remain actively involved in all areas of labor movements, from every part of the service and supply chain for products. We can be and must be like Dolores Huerta, teachers, students, storytellers, amplifiers of messages, and resistors. We can refuse to pick or buy the grapes or tomatoes from those who are not paying fair wages, and then we can fight. We can fight the leviathans like Amazon and encourage growth of socially responsible organizations. So this Labor Day, as we gather with loved ones, whether we are at our tables, on our own or with others or across the internet, let us be mindful of all of the food on our plates, all the hands that touched it and brought it there, and recommit to co-liberation. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
We get up with the birds, chase the sun across the sky, long past the rising of the moon. We're working hard just to get by.
little luck and a lot of love. We patched it all together, holding our heads up. We save for a rainy day without fear. But it has been a very rainy year. Used to have steady work, but now we come when you call. Keep our masks on all day long. United stand, divided fall. Still, with a little luck and a lot of love, we patched it all together, holding our heads up. We save for a rainy day without fear. But it has been a very rainy year. Broken faith, broken hearts, for the ones we could not save. Oh, the acres of flowers, over 500,000 graves. Drifting uncertain times, tossed on uncharted seas. Now we have to ask for help, just to get the basic things we need. We need more than luck and a lot of love, but we'll patch it back together, pull ourselves back up. Yes, we'll patch it back together, pull ourselves back up. Save again for a rainy day without fear, and pray it's not another rainy year. Pray it's not another rainy year. Pray it's not another rainy year.
Thank you. Thank you, Cedar Laner, Susan McNellis. Thank you. We head into this holiday weekend and the days beyond with warmth, luck, and a lot of love. And may we also hold in our hearts these words by activist Cesar Chavez. We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and needs of others for their sakes and for our own. May these words and the power and presence of the love that will neither let us go nor let us off the hook guide us. May it be so. Amen and blessed be.
strength of one, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never toiled to earn, but without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel can turn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. In our hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies magnified 1,000-fold. We can bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. They divide us by our color, they divide us by our tongue, they divide us men and women, they divide us old and young, but they'll tremble at our voices when they hear these verses sung, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. And in Spanish, solidaridad para siempre, solidaridad para siempre, solidaridad para siempre.